listen, I'm actually upset right now. I don't want to do any haze. We just got scored on by New Zealand, the Kiwis. Welcome in to Call It What You Want. I'm Jimmy Conrad, and I'm upset. I'm here with Charlie Davies and Tony Meola. It is 1-1 between the U.S. and New Zealand. On the brighter side of things, Mauricio Pochettino is our coach. Now, I just wish that we didn't waste this window because it feels like we're wasting this window. Big Tones, I'm coming to you first. How are you? What are your thoughts? We still got 5 minutes left in this game or whatever. And
well,
I'm on fire. I want to go bigger, but I'm harnessing my chi.
Jimmy's going to be quiet tonight, Charlie. Imagine
no,
that.
I didn't say that.
He's always quiet. He's always quiet.
Yeah. Okay, Chuck. Okay.
Yeah. I mean,
he's quiet.
Yeah.
We won the day. We won the day. Mauricio Pochettino's our coach, and we're going to try and win a game here. Does this go? This wouldn't go down as a Pochettino loss, would it? Since he's our manager.
Don't do that, Tony. Tony, don't do that.
It's not a loss. It's one
Tony,
like a loss because this is not a very good New Zealand team. And frankly, even though it was a lucky goal for them, they still had some other really good chances, which for me is unacceptable. We should have locked them down in so many different ways. These dudes aren't even fit.
Hey, where's our FIFA ranking going to drop to after this?
What? Huh? What? Chuck, what do you
Where's
thought?
our FIFA ranking?
I don't know what our
Where's
FIFA
our
ranking.
FIFA ranking going to drop?
Listen.
Is that
all I know
what you're worried about right now?
is that
you're worried about
Mikey Varis will never coach the U.S. men's national team after this. It's done. Thanks for nothing, Mikey Varis. A loss, our first one, and I don't know what, 60 years to Canada on home soil, and then we tie a bad New Zealand team at home. Come on, dude.
Man, Jimmy changed in like an instant.
I didn't change.
You did.
I'm just holding it in. There's no change.
He's still quiet, Tony. That's the thing.
Yeah, they're trying to get me wound up. No.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah. This is not a good moment either way. Like I don't know that this result or the other one really changes my mind about where the U.S. is because
we could have won 10-0 tonight.
Okay.
We won the day. That's what I'm going to say. We won the day with Pochettino. We're going to get to all the individuals later on. I got one bright spot for me.
Okay, let's hear it.
I don't want to tell you now. I don't want to tell you now.
You're going to save it.
I'm going to save it. Yeah, I do have one bright.
Save it. Where were you when you finally saw the announcement? Were you at home?
Yeah, I was here. Pretty much not too far from where I'm sitting.
How'd you feel about it?
I felt that it was about time. It almost was anticlimactic because I was like, finally, dude, let's just get on with this thing. Can this guy just get to work? Like, I'm not even really that excited about it anymore. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but did you expect more though from the announcement? Like besides like a tweet, yeah, he's our coach, and then like a selfie video on a phone. Did you expect it to be more?
Well, we got a Matt Crocker
on
the phone thing. Didn't we get the phone thing from Matt Crocker? Hey, I'll be at the airport.
Why'd they do it on the same day as a game? That's what I don't understand.
Maybe because of this result.
Maybe they're trying to deflect from how poorly we're playing on the field.
Burst that right under the rug.
This is a shell game. Hey guys, look over here. Look at this shell over here. Yeah, we're playing poorly, but it doesn't matter. Look at this shell over here. I mean, I'm frustrated. Frustrated is an understatement.
Because you really don't talk that much. So.
Okay, yeah, right.
Tony never shares his opinion. He's always deflecting and asking questions. So I'd like for you.
You know what? I don't have a 2-hour warm up on morning footy to get it going before I get into the podcast. True or false? True or false? All right, YouTubers, YouTube community, don't go anywhere. We got to get reset for the Golasso Network. Hit like and subscribe. You guys know what to do.
Triggered.
Yeah. Okay. Hi, hello, and welcome to your favorite Average to Good podcast. Call it what you want. We're a little frustrated today because the U.S. men's national team can't beat New Zealand, but Mauricio Pochettino's in charge. Wow! I'm Jimmy Conrad alongside Charlie Davies and Tony Meola, and it is official. We got him. We got him. Pochettino is official. It's the worst kept secret in sports. He's been the guy for the last month or 3 weeks or whatever, and now he's finally here. Chuck, I'm going to come to you first. Your thoughts on Mauricio Pochettino finally putting his name on the dotted line and signing. He's ours now for at least 2 years. Let's go.
This was the best option out there for all national teams. The best manager, and I think we all didn't really think it was a possibility. So to know that Matt Crocker actually got him to put pen to paper, lock him down, the best candidate available, who literally just came off a pretty damn good season with Chelsea. I mean, it was let's call it what it was. It was a train wreck. And it took him, I think he had some experimenting, ups and downs, but at the end of the season, they were absolutely killing it. Cole Palmer came to life, and you felt like, oh, Chelsea's going in a new direction, and a direction that's, heading towards Champions League, heading towards competing for trophies under Mauricio Pochettino. And next thing you know, they parted ways. So it almost is, it's a perfect timing for us. And it's all about timing. I think if Pochettino was available 3 years ago or 2 years ago, when we decided to go with Greg once again after the World Cup, he would have said no. So from my understanding, the fact that it's a perfect runway to the World Cup, and it's not the craziest length, because he's not a long-term national team coach unless this next 2 years blows his mind and he's like, actually, I really like this. I want to do it. Otherwise, I do think this is short-term, and it works out perfect. So he's got to come in and literally do what he did at Chelsea, because Chelsea was kind of all over the place, all different types of player profiles, and figure out, okay, what's the best for our team? What's the best system? Who are the best players? Who can I count on? Who can I push? And who has to move on?
Okay, now the one exception I would say about what you said was the perfect timing. We needed Mauricio Pochettino before this window. It was such a huge opportunity. And yes, I know we're missing a few key members of the squad, but it would have been nice to start to lay that groundwork with his philosophy and methodology, even if it was preliminary, just to start to get organized, just to say, hey, this is, in these situations, this is how we want to move. And I feel like we missed out on a big opportunity. And now we're down to 10 windows with him leading into the 2026 World Cup. Big Tones, you've been around. You've seen some things. You've played in some World Cups. How are you feeling about Mauricio Pochettino being in charge of the U.S. men's national team?
Yeah, I love it, and I've been around a lot of coaches too. I'm not nearly as concerned as you are with the window, missing this window. It would have been nice, but I think from a managerial standpoint, you look at it and you go, okay, I'm going to be able to evaluate some players. I know the names, and Matt Crocker alluded to in one of his interviews, prior to the match tonight, that he was amazed at how much Mauricio Pochettino knew about this group and how he had studied this group, and a presentation that not only Pochettino and his staff put together for Matt Crocker and for JT Batson, and you showed them what they think of this team. And I'm assuming in there how they think they can play, what they think of some of the players, maybe some of the things that they'll look out for, surely some of the changes I would imagine they're going to make. And it was enough for him to say, hey, I'm going to take this on, right? I think I can do this, because we know no managers take jobs that they don't think they can turn around. And every manager thinks they can turn every player around. So I'm excited that he's here. He gets to work immediately now. He's already been working. We know this. And I think he'll use this window, not necessarily to change any ideas of how he wants to play with this group, but maybe to get an idea of some of the players in this group, and styles and personality of players, and ideas that players maybe will lend to him and what he's trying to do. So he'll get a feel for it. And I'm excited he's here. I can't wait till next window. Is it Panama? I think Panama and potentially Mexico, down in Mexico, right? Potentially. Right. I don't know if that one's been announced, but that seems to be where it's leaning. So, man, I'm looking forward to it. I really am. I think we got the best option. People will make an argument that Klopp would have been the best option, but Klopp took his name out of it right away. So for me, it was never an option.
Yeah, it's pretty interesting that we got. I mean, in some ways, I'm surprised that we got him, but we've been talking about it for so long. It's like, okay, now that he's here, I really just want him to get to work, because I'm not really satisfied or impressed with these last two performances in particular. Now, Chuck, before we get to you, Pochettino put out a statement, and I want to read this statement because it's a nice segue to what Big Tones was just saying. And he said, the decision to join U.S. Soccer wasn't just about football for me. It's about the journey that this team and this country are on, the energy, the passion, and the hunger to achieve something truly historic here. Those are the things that inspired me. He also went on to say the opportunity to lead the U.S. men's national team in front of fans who are just as passionate as the players, hopefully he puts podcast hosts in there too, is something I couldn't pass up. I see a group of players full of talent and potential, and together we're going to build something special that the whole nation can be proud of. I love that statement, Chuck. How are you feeling?
Yeah, I mean, statements and I'm past all that.
You got to execute. You got to execute.
Yeah, you could put any coach and put that. And for me, it's what are you going to do to come in and change the environment and change the philosophy and change the demands and the requirements and give me what we see, that passion to win. If you're Morocco, to get to a World Cup semifinals, how do you think you did it? It's not they're more skilled than all the other nations. And I don't want to take any credit away from the actual quality that Morocco has, or, to South Korea in 2002. It's passion. That's what takes you over the top in games where you are giving everything you have. It's the passion that can give you that boost. And so with a coach who gives you the right ideas and the right mentality and make sure that you're playing with the right mentality, you throw in that passion along with the right substitutions, a coach who knows what he's doing in those critical moments. Pochettino took a Tottenham team that was bang average, a little bit above average, a Champions League side, but not a top 2 Champions League side, not someone who should be competing for a Champions League final. And he got them to a final with Tottenham. Mm-hmm. That was pure passion. That was pure genius in the right substitutions, the right tactical changes at the right time. So I think that experience and coaching some of the biggest egos and superstars in the world will essentially help him in the end.
Now, Chuck, Big Tones, you had mentioned that this window didn't matter. Do you think that Pochettino, coming from a club environment, will have enough time to implement his style of play on both sides of the ball, right?
Yeah.
Because from what we've learned from him, it's very sophisticated, and what we've seen and what we've heard from the players that have played underneath him, it's a very sophisticated system. And sometimes at the national team level, and this is what we got on Greg Berhalter about, he's trying to run a national team like a club team. And it's too complicated. We got to simplify when you get to the national team. And I wonder if Mauricio Pochettino I know he can find the balance, but I wonder how long it's going to take him to get there.
Just to rewind, I don't know that I said this window doesn't matter, because I think they all matter, right? They all matter.
Can we rewind it? Let's rewind it.
They all matter for individuals. They all matter for guys to prove points all the time. And quite honestly, we saw this window. It actually mattered a little more than maybe we thought it was going to, because if I'm being honest, I really didn't get too excited about Canada and New Zealand in the win. I don't care Jesse Marsh's. I don't care who the coach is. I really don't. And you guys know me. Like that's great to talk about, and it gives us storylines. But we're not playing a coach in the World Cup, right? We're playing a team, and that coach's job is to get the team going. So I still don't get excited about Canada, and I don't get excited about New Zealand. But I do want to see guys that have made improvements. And I think we asked, and I don't know, we've done so many podcasts now over the last 2 weeks, it seems like. I asked in one of them, like, what players are getting better since the World Cup? And that's what I want to see. So my barometer now is what players are getting better from here moving forward, because this is, for lack of any better other term, this is Poch time, right? He's on the clock now. He's going to be judged on results and what he does, and not it's a great statement, and it's a great little video, and he looks excited and all that stuff. But in the end, if he didn't win games in the World Cup, or if he doesn't win games in the World Cup, is it going to matter? No. We're going to judge, and I'm the first to say I always judge managers at the end, not at the beginning. And his job is to have us prepared to play and compete in the World Cup in June of 2026, and that's where I will judge him. That's how I judge Greg Berhalter. That's how I judge Bruce Arena. That's how I judge Bob Bradley, and so on. And I don't think it's fair to judge Pochettino any other way other than the results, because national teams are about nothing but results in the end, because you got tournaments at the end of everything.
Of course, and that's how you should be judged ultimately. But I think there is you want to see, at least you want to have some hype, you want to have some energy going into those. That hey, this is the team that could probably do it. And there was a big question that I think we gave to Jesse prior to him, he maybe even taking the job or his last podcast before he took over the Canadian national team, Chuck. Where is it the responsibility of the national team to develop players? So that was a really hard one for me to say, to develop players. And he, I think, initially said no, but then he said that there is room for that. I've seen him in a press conference saying that there was room to do that. And to a certain extent, I agree with him, Chuck. But I wonder, because if Pochettino is going to come in and have this style of play, there's going to have to still be some buy-in on what we're trying to do and how we're trying to do it. And that should involve some type of development for the players in some capacity. I don't know. Your thoughts on enough time for him to implement what he wants to do?
Yeah, he has, for me, more than enough time to implement what he wants to do. So for Mauricio Pochettino to come in, he's got to make everything clear, crystal clear. This is our identity. This is the way we're going to play. This is how we're going to play. And then from there on, it's on the players to perform at their clubs. He's going to give them some ideas. Okay, this is what it takes to be on the national team. This is where we're trying to go. These are our goals. This is how we get there. It's not rocket science. And then as a coach, you have you motivate the guys. You know which buttons to push with certain guys, where to tinker, and then the adjustments in the game. Mm-hmm. That's why you have a world-class coach in Mauricio Pochettino, to make the in-game adjustments, to prepare the team for the team that they're going to play. And then, as we all know in the game of football, things change. Things that we don't necessarily prepare for happen in a game. And how do you adjust in real time? Not after the game and go, oh, I probably should have done this. No, make those adjustments. Change the systems. Play players in different places. Maybe that's another thing that I love about world-class coaches is they're able to see players in different coaches couldn't necessarily see. So you may say, Christian is better at the 10 here, or better on the right here than the left, or playing as a withdrawn forward in a 2-forward system. That's kind of the benefit of having a world-class coach, because they have a different eye, something that necessarily maybe U.S. coaches wouldn't necessarily see.
No, that's a great shout. I still remember Didier Deschamps pulling guys out in the first half of a World Cup final because it wasn't working. I mean, that takes some absolute stones to do that, and they almost pulled it off, right? They almost came back against Argentina and pulled it off. Now that we have this world-class coach that you're talking about, Chuck, I think the one question, because we've talked a lot about Mauricio Pochettino and what he needs to do when he takes over, and we've had all the speculation, which is now confirmed that he's going to be here, is official. So, Tones, I'm coming to you first. Now that we have him, what is the goal for the U.S. men's national team? What's the realistic expectation and goal for us at this World Cup? Where you would be like, for me, there's still an element of a certain style of play. There's an aesthetic that I still want us to try to get to. But to your point, results are results are results. And is it a quarterfinal minimum for you? I mean, this is not going to be an easy World Cup, because you have 48 teams. So there's got a lot.
It's going to be an easier World Cup than ever before
in the group stages. And then I think it gets tricky, right? Because you add another round with the round of 32. So I don't know. What do you think?
Yeah, for me, I still look at, we set a benchmark, right? And we set a benchmark in 90 to qualify. We set a benchmark in 94 to get out of the group. We set a benchmark in 2002 to get to the quarterfinals of the World Cup, and within inches of getting to, and with a call of getting to the semifinal of a World Cup against Germany, right? So, I mean, can we think on home soil that we should expect anything less from the group? Like, I just think you're selling yourself short.
Okay,
you got to go into the Jimmy. Have you ever gone into a playoff in the league or any competition? U.S. Open Cup, what's the only thing on your mind?
Yeah, you're trying to win it. You're always trying to win.
You're there.
Yeah,
right, and you gotta go in with that expectation. And I'm not suggesting, don't tweet at me that I said we're gonna win the World Cup. That's got to be your mentality. You're gonna win it. Yeah. Well, you probably won't get a response. But that's your mentality. You want to win at everything that you do, and I think that's the only mentality you can have, because when you start selling yourself short, then I think you fall really, really short. But Poch has good thing is we have a window coming up soon. I would pay top dollar to be a fly on the wall of that first group meeting that they have right now about what they saw this camp and what their thoughts are about the players and where they think they can change. Now, sounds like they have a plan for what they want to do with this group already. And we know those plans change every now and then. But my gosh, man, there are some. I just saw the lasting image. We were on air, obviously, when we did the last couple minutes. I saw Pulisic's face after the game. I don't know if you got a glimpse of it.
Yeah,
he was not
pissed.
happy, and that actually makes me happy that we have. And by the way, he should be the guy out of all of them that if you're going to take your foot off the pedal for something, and maybe not. This is not fair to him because he cares about everything, but maybe not care about a moment tying New Zealand. Like he should be like, okay, I'm going to play Venezia this weekend in Serie A on Saturday, and everything will be fine, right? I scored a goal tonight, whatever. But he was pissed, man, and that's what we need right there. And by the way, I'm going to keep teasing you. I got one real positive out of tonight, and I'm excited about it.
By the way,
I can't wait. He's teasing.
I also want to add to that. Tony is as pissed as he was, and it was clear that he was pissed. It took a lot, the class, the decency to go and acknowledge the fans that were there in that stadium. Because how many times have we seen it go the other way where you're so pissed off that you just walk off. You don't even think about that because you can't really get your emotions in check. He had the ability to see the bigger picture in that moment. As bad as things are, as kind of low, it's a real low moment right now for the U.S. men's national team. Outside of the Pochettino hiring, just the group as a collective, you got your butts kicked by Canada on home soil, and you just tied against a.
We'll get into that. We're going to talk about that game.
A New Zealand side. That's
yeah, no. We'll get into that game in more detail in the break. But I want a one-word answer from you, Chuck, if that's possible. I don't know if that's possible for you. One-word answer. What should the goal be for the U.S. men's national team in the 2026 World Cup now that we have a world-class coach? Where should we hope to finish? Not from a player perspective, that's where Tony answered. Of course, you want to win it all, but like realistically from a fan base, what should we think?
Quarterfinals.
Minimum.
Yeah, minimum.
Quarterfinals. Minimum. You heard it here. Chuck Davies says quarterfinals. All right, we're going to take our first
Jimmy,
break.
You said one word. It's quarters. You got to get to the quarters. That's he said quarterfinals.
He did. All right, we're taking our first break and call it what you want. If you're watching on the YouTubes, keep it here. We'll answer some questions during the break on the Golasso Network, and then we'll come back and we'll all be friends again. It's going to be awesome. Don't go anywhere. Welcome into Call It What You Want between two Golasso Network segments. Kind of a play on Between Two Ferns. Shout out to Zach Galifianakis. We have a comment we need to answer. It's Chris again. Chris Bach. Chris, you asked some good questions because our producers always put up your questions. Which active player on the roster is most at risk for having played their last game with the U.S. men's national team now that Pochettino is confirmed? Yow! Who wants to touch that? Yow!
Is there really one on this roster?
Which active player on the roster is most
as in this current camp, or just in general U.S. men's national team pool?
Let's just say the pool. Who having played the last? So yeah, it could be anybody, I guess, at that point. That's been in the pool.
Yeah, because tonight you're going to see all these players that started tonight at some point, right? You're going to see
probably won't.
I don't know. Could you make? I mean, you can make an argument that Tim Ream, because he might just say, "Hey, look, I don't like the age. I don't like, where this group is a little bit younger."
Yeah, his game against Canada was poor.
I mean, I'm not trying to pick on Tim, but I'm trying to answer a question that maybe how Pochettino might think. So he'd be the first one that comes to mind. But is there another one? There's no one tonight that he's not going to look at, right? Let's see. No, he's going to look at all these guys. He's going to look at all of these guys.
Yeah, but whether they gives them a chance to play again, we don't have that many games to stretch our legs and see what happens. I don't know. Chuck, you were with him on Tim Ream? You with Big Tones on Tim Ream?
Yeah,
You got
I
the
am with Tone on Tony. When you decide to leave Europe and come to MLS at your age, for me that's conceding. Okay, you know what? I got to the World Cup. I played well. I had my long stint in England, and now I'm ready to finish out my
Right.
career here in the States. And for me, that's at this age, that's all. That's enough.
it. That's it.
Yeah.
Nice little swan song in MLS. All right. We answered one question. You got to stay tuned for the next slate break that we have so we can answer.
What about
some more
you?
of
Can you answer one of these questions?
No,
Yeah.
because I got to throw it back
The guy never talks.
You got to throw
Tony.
up the slate. I'm hosting right now. We got to throw up the slate. Don't go anywhere.
Go ahead.
Welcome back in to Call It What You Want. I'm Jimmy Conrad alongside Charlie Davies and Tony Meola, and we are now going to discuss the surprising 1-1 draw between the U.S. men's national team and New Zealand. That hurt to say out loud, I'll be honest with everybody. And it's coming on the heels of us losing 3 straight games, including losing to Canada, which was very disappointing. Here are the match stats, just so everybody knows. Give you some context. We had 2/3 of the possession to their 1/3. We had 17 shots, only 5 on target. They had 8, 4 on target. 15 fouls. We had 7 quarters. They had 0. So I guess we won corners. Yay, us.
The score is
But
the only thing that matters.
I know it's the only thing that matters. I'm trying to find silver linings, Chuck.
There's no silver linings.
Okay, so I'll be honest. I was pretty disappointed with this game. Yunus Musa, turnover machine. Can I just start with Yunus Musa? I have that guy's pajamas, and I'm ready to take off my Yunus Musa pajamas. Not here on camera, because that would be not appropriate. But Tones, you actually called out Brian McBride in our recap show, or
I did too.
You're right. We had a lot of podcasts before, or just saying I don't think Yunus Musa played well against Canada, and I agree. And then I also don't think Yunus Musa played well tonight. Just either too casual or trying to do too much, and then he gets one shot
turning into pressure, Jimmy.
all the time. Like I don't understand. I don't understand. Also, one more thing. I don't know how we were supposed to play, but like if Aiden Morris is going to sit in the 6th spot and then Yunus Musa is like flying on either side of him, like was that by design? Because that doesn't feel like a really smart way to play. I'm just going to throw that out there. Tones, we're gonna pay respects to our most seniored U.S. men's national team.
Don't do that to him. You called him a senior citizen.
No, I did not.
Are you out of your mind?
He has more caps than you and I combined.
Breaking
Chuck.
up. My AirPods breaking up a little bit. I can't hear you.
Can we get his walker? Where's your walker, Tones?
Jimmy, you're lucky. You're all the way across the country right now.
Have you seen Tony's hand?
Yeah, no, I have.
That thing's a boulder.
No, I get it. He's got like bananas for fingers.
He's gonna find out when I see him, Chuck. Oh, and Ivis just hammered me in the chat. He said my hearing aid is acting up. Ivis, you're now chiming in. All right, I got you.
For everybody that can't see, Tony has fallen and he can't get up. Just hit that button, Tones. I think that'll get you.
Before you were talking about his arthritis in his hand.
Yeah. Can you ask me another question you're never going to answer? Go ahead.
No, that's not true. I do answer it. I came in hot on Yunus Musa. Anyway,
yeah,
it's a 1-1 draw. I was disappointed. We didn't create a lot of chances. When Pulisic came on, it seemed to balance the team, and we started to get a little bit more on the front foot and started to be more commanding. I will say another player. I like Ricardo Pepi's movement. I don't know where he needs to be on the field. Maybe as a number 9, but he works his ass off
anywhere else.
He works his ass off to get into good spots, and I appreciate his approach to the game and his mentality. And I know he's been chomping at the bit now for 2 years to like be the guy, and nobody's ever given him the chance to be the guy.
The problem with that is you saw what happens when you don't play. You don't play consistently for your club, because his movement can do all this.
His first goal should have counted, by the way. It wasn't a foul.
But regardless, he's stunting his potential to fulfill what he can do as a player because he's not playing every week. And he's behind the captain at PSV. So, yeah, you might get sprinkled in a little Champions League here, there, but ultimately, he's not playing the minutes he needs to be playing. So, again, in a match like this, what? Just one shot? They're like, just because he's running all over the pitch?
No, he scored a goal. He did well to set up that goal.
He did not score a goal because it
should have counted.
One.
Okay, all right. Yeah. You know what? All I'm saying is that I like the little details that he brings to the game. That's it. I like his work rate. Whether that's what Pochettino wants or not,
he doesn't stop. He doesn't stop in games. He doesn't look scared in games. He may not pull everything off, but he continues to go at players. He continues to try and get on the end of things in the box. And there's no doubt we can make the argument that he's not clean in the box, but we can also make an argument that at least he's getting in the box and he's getting in good spots, and that sharpness will come if he starts playing. So we could make that argument for sure. There's no doubt he needs to be sharper, and we've seen him sharper. And but I kind of tend to side with Jimmy here with regards to I like Ricardo Pepi from the standpoint that the guy is always in and around plays all the time. He's cutting in the middle of the field. He's trying to make things happen. I got all the time in the world for players who try things. Jimmy, we played together for a couple of years, and I mean, I think we kind of, from that standpoint, looked at it the same way. You're trying to make things happen. I'm okay with it because I know not everything's going to come off, right? But if you're just the guy that's constantly playing safe and constantly playing back and constantly, not getting there, but not really tackling a guy, just channeling somewhere where you don't have to deal with it, like that kind of player, I don't have a lot of time for. So I'm okay with Ricardo Pepi tonight. Does he need to be better? Hell yeah, he needs to be better to play at the highest level, but
New Zealand wasn't going to be that test anyway. The game was so slow. Anyway, I'm sorry. I buried the lead. I should have started with the starting 11 because, Chuck, I want to get your thoughts on the starting 11. Matt Turner was in goal. Yeah. You had Fossey, who has got a lot of gas in his tank to get up and down, but we can talk about him on the right side. Chris Richards and Mark McKenzie were the center backs. Loon's got another shot at starting at the left back position when we thought maybe Wiley would get the chance. Yunus Musa and Aiden Morris started in midfield. Brendan Aronson was in the 10 spot. You had Haji right on the left. You had Ricardo Pepi on the right and Flo Balogun up top. Josh Sargent apparently had a bit of an ankle concern, so he was a scratch in this particular game. We were all kind of excited to see him, and I wonder if he would have started for Balogun if he had been healthy. What did you think about this lineup in particular, Chuck? Because it just felt a little bit all over the place.
I don't know if you had a chance to see my breakdown of plays this morning on Morning Footy, but essentially you're playing too slow for the international game. The tempo has to be much higher, especially if you're trying to send a message. If you're trying to show the intensity, the will to win, the will to play in the World Cup on home soil, all of that, the momentum should have started a long time ago. And it feels like it still hasn't started yet, which is crazy to me. Now with Pochettino, you're damn sure it's going to start now. But again, it was slow. They get on the ball, they sit, they wait. For New Zealand, they're like, great. What? 0-0. I can wait all day for this. Fine. But it's Chuck, so underwhelming. It's so underwhelming. It is.
They pounced on a couple turnovers. New Zealand. If that wasn't New Zealand, if we were playing or Germany, New Zealand, let's say in a World Cup, like where they're fitter and they're sharper and everybody's, maybe we don't make those turnovers. I guess it would be the counter to that. But we get punished for those mistakes. And today we don't. But on another day, New Zealand could have been up 1 or 2-0 off of our casual mistakes. Both I thought were from Yunus Musa, who I don't know. You talk about players that have gotten better since 2022. I can't say that Yunus Musa has, to be honest. Yeah,
you know what? You guys were talking, and what I'm thinking in my head is that didn't you guys think that after 2022 that would be sort of the baseline, right? We played England. I mean, okay, we played the Netherlands. We lost 3-1, but it's not as if like the Netherlands blew us out of the water. If we defend the back post 2 times a little bit better, we're still in the game, right? So my point is, don't you think I thought like for this group, as young as they were, second youngest team in the World Cup, that would be the baseline. I feel like we've fallen so far below the baseline right now that we're almost starting over again with another group. And I don't know how that happens because these are all players that have moved on in their career. They're 2 years older now, right? Which essentially should mean you're 2 years more experienced and 2 years better because that's the normal progression for people. And we can blame coaches because, Greg got fired. And if Pochettino doesn't do it, we're going to blame him too. But at some point, you got to put this on players, right? Like you got to get better. And I will say this because I wrote it somewhere. I can tell I got 4 or 5 pages of notes for the last 2 days. I wrote that Poch can have all the tactics in the world, but if we can't pass the ball and we lose as many easy balls as we lost over the last 2 games, and you go back and look at them, unforced errors, it doesn't matter what tactics he puts together. You're not going to get out of first gear.
The decision making, Tony, on top of that, is so poor of where to pass the ball. I get you want to play out of the press.
Dude,
but even so, sometimes they play it to somebody who has no options or one option, and maybe the player who's receiving it is shaped the wrong way, so he's forcing himself into only one option. But they'll play that in an area where it's dangerous. He's surrounded. And you think that's a good play versus going to the opposite direction where you have space? Like the movement and the ideas is just completely off.
Yeah.
So you throw in that and then the poor quality on top of it, and it's a shit show. That's what we're watching.
Yeah, it's when you have a team and you have, let's say, maybe 6 or 7 players tonight that when they had a chance to go forward or play safe, they played safe. And if you have a couple other players that are thinking, when I'm getting it, I'm going. That's just too disjointed. You can't have 3 or 4 players thinking one thing and then the rest of the team thinking the other. So that's something that I think Pochettino will fix very quickly and get everybody on the same page. But it was frustrating to watch tonight. All right, we're going to take our next break and call it what you want. When we return, we'll break down this New Zealand game a little bit further. Maybe give some player ratings because Chuck's here and he's going to be really harsh on them because that's what he said. We were soft last time. We'll see if
Jimmy's going to say nothing.
We'll see if he does it. Don't go anywhere.
I'm a host. I don't talk.
Okay.
I'm quiet.
Here we go.
Tony, you do this.
Hey, everybody. What's up? Welcome back to Call It What You Want. I'm Jimmy Conrad. I'm getting some shade thrown on me by Charlie Davies, and Tony's deciding to hop in too. Way to go, Tones. I thought we were teammates. Here's a question. It's YouTube audience time. Call it what you want after dark. Where has Fossey been? I was impressed with him tonight. He was one of the players that was trying to get forward. I don't know if everybody else around him was trying to do the same. I liked him a lot in the second half. I thought there was a little bit more urgency in his game. That's my assessment, Chuck, on Fossey. I want to see a little bit more of him. Yeah, okay. I talked about Musa, I talked about Pepi.
He was my guy. He was my guy tonight. Fossey was my guy that I was most excited about. Recovery defending. You know what I got tonight out of Fossey? And someone tell me I'm wrong. I got Frankie Hayduck vibes. I did, man. I got serious Frankie Hayduck vibes.
He's a little better with the ball at his feet than Frankie.
I know, but his energy, running back. Did you see the one guy tackled him? Most guys are rolling around when he tried to dribble out of the back. The guy tackled him. He did a flip and he kept just running. The referee called a foul and he went on. And I'm like, man, that's Frankie. That's a Frankie Hayduck attitude. I liked him tonight. No doubt things need to be cleaned up, but out of all the guys who came in with no experience,
the best player on the pitch for the U.S.
Yeah, no experience, hadn't played a game. We don't get to see him play. He comes into camp and puts that type of performance, and good on him, man. For me, he's got to come back next camp.
Okay. Yep. So do you start him over Scally in the next one, Chuck?
Yes. Not even with
roll him with the first
even a decision. Yeah, that's not even a decision. Not even close.
Wow.
Yeah.
That is a big win for Fossey there.
Yeah.
Okay. What I did like too is that his combination play. I always thought he was looking to get it quick off of his feet and then spin and get into a good space. So I really appreciated his game as well. I actually thought the second half he kind of grew into it. Felt like he grew into the game overall. All right. We just answered some questions here for our community. We'll do it again in the next break, but we're going to throw it back to the slate so we can get all prepped for the Golasso Network. Don't go
Where
anywhere.
Jimmy won't say anything.
Okay, here we go.
Tony, get him to talk.
Hello, and welcome back into Call It What You Want. I'm Jimmy alongside Chuck and Big Tones, and we are talking Mauricio Pochettino. We're talking the 1-1 draw for the U.S. against New Zealand. I'm still bitter about it. And we're also going to, at some point, look ahead to the October window. We have October 12th. We take on Panama, and then we go down to Mexico to take on our big rivals on October 15th. So that will be Mauricio Pochettino's first international window. Excited about that. But first, can we just get like stock up, stock down very quickly on this New Zealand game? One player that's stock up and one player stock down.
I think we're all unanimous with Fossey stock up.
Fossey, done. Unanimous. Done. I'm with you guys. Great selection. Okay, stock down. I got
stock
Yunus
down.
Musa. I wouldn't start him against Panama. I wouldn't. I'd send a message. Not good enough. My flag in the ground, Chuck. How's that? How's that?
Stock down for me is Johnny Cardoso.
Okay. Yeah.
Oh, we're doing a camp.
I'm doing the camp.
You're doing the whole camp.
Okay.
We got two holding midfielders.
I'm gonna throw one out here, and this might not be popular opinion, but I have not been impressed in 2 games with Chris Richards. Just far too sloppy. Looked heavy-legged in 2 games. Gives too many balls away. For me, needs to clean up a little bit.
Were you surprised?
I'll throw one out too. I might as well throw another one out there too. Then
we got more stock downs. Go.
We playing this game. Falarin Balogun, stock down.
So yes, I get where you're coming from, and I know where that I get that. But then he makes that like he has a really good pass into Brendan Aronson when he gets some good service in and around. I also, and maybe this is me being way too supportive of Flo, but when he was up high in the first half, he just wasn't touching the ball. He dropped down and created a numerical advantage in midfield, and he played a really nice ball out wide to Ricardo Pepi. I don't mind that either. And I was like, at that point, we should put him at the 10, get Aronson off, or if you want, Aronson was pretty good in 1v1 situations, but it still felt like we were not really combining and working as a group. It was more just like, okay, it's my turn to dribble around people, but then put Pepi at the 9, put Balogun at the 10, and then maybe put somebody else out wide. You could put Aronson out there too. Anyway, I know where you're coming from with that, Chuck. Maybe is it over the 2 games or just this one?
Yeah, it's over the two games.
Yeah, okay,
for sure.
It's
over the camp. I mean, even in this game, okay, second half you start at the end, you started to play a little bit better, but the first half,
but it's New Zealand.
Ball away left and right. Come on,
we shouldn't lose to New Zealand or even
no, and we're talking about this is supposed to be the number 9 for the U.S. men's national team without a doubt, without a shadow of a doubt. And could you say I'm willing to bet that Pochettino is going to be like, this is our guy? No.
So yeah, I'm just curious. We could probably come up with a bunch of stock downs if you want to go. No, seriously. This is part of the problem. Who are the stock? Who are all the guys with a stock up in this camp? If you really go through them, who are all the guys? Okay, we said Trusty.
Okay,
Patrick Schulte. I'll throw Patrick Schulte in there because he had a decent first game.
Chris Loon did enough.
Fossey.
Okay, Fossey.
Yeah. Aiden Marsh, do you throw him in there?
I would bring him back.
I'm not. I wouldn't throw a thumbs up.
He looks to play forward. I like that he likes to play forward. He looks to combine. No. I thought Yunus Musa just got in his way tonight, but I don't know if that was by design.
Okay, and then try and find another one after that.
I honestly, I didn't. I liked Ricardo Pepi today. I like the little things. See, I know he doesn't float Chuck's boat, but for me, there are certain parts of his game that I really appreciate. And if you put that piece of a puzzle into a team that's a little bit more organized and can really, I don't know. I'm going to put Pepi in the mix too because I
was going to say
perfect. How many is that in one camp? We had 20.
I don't know. I didn't look down. I just looked at the other teams.
24 players, whatever it was.
You like Tillman? You like Tillman though, didn't you? Chuck?
I like Tillman the first game.
Tonight he was bad.
Yeah, tonight it was. So it's a wash. What I would say I'd say the player with the biggest stock up is Fossey. I think that's clear, right? You're talking about a right back who gives you something different, is active, and showed I want to make an impact tonight. I want Pochettino to know I'm ready to go. I want the U.S. public to get to know who the hell I am, and I want to impress. And he showed it. That's the type of player you want to see, like the attitude. He had that, and he had like this tenacity about him. I love that, but we didn't see enough of that, which is really disappointing.
That's what you're basically describing Ricardo Pepi. I just don't think you like Ricardo Pepi, Chuck. He has tenacity. He's working hard. He wants it, you know? I like it. Sounds really eerily similar to what I'm saying about Ricardo Pepi. All right, so let's talk about the biggest decisions then, using this as a segue into the next window. What are the biggest decisions then for Pochettino going into that? Knowing that he's got a couple guys underperforming, not playing a lot with their clubs. Then you have these other guys that are trying to break through and make a name within the team and within the player pool. Does anything stand out for you? Tones, I'll come to you first on big decisions.
Yeah, I mean, which guys fit whatever style Mauricio Pochettino wants to play, and which of these guys don't fit? I'm going to guess that in that camp, we're going to see more than 24 players called in. That's just a guess. I don't have obviously any insight, but he needs to get the biggest profile of players that he can, get to know these guys, get to know everything about them, because like you said, doesn't have a ton of time, but with these players. So I think he's going to want to see as many players, and then get as quickly as you can, get a core group of players that you're going to build around. And hopefully he can do that. But yeah, just to see who fits the profile of what he's trying to do. That's something we don't know. And I'm sure over the next couple of weeks, we're going to get a better idea. I'm sure we're going to see interviews from him. So yeah, that for me would be number one. I'm hoping that he doesn't have to have a conversation after this camp about what your attitude needs to be like from a fight and determination sort of standpoint when you come into the national team. I'm hoping he doesn't have to have that discussion with anybody.
Could you imagine if he felt like he had to do that with the national team? Honestly, I'm going to throw it back. I remember when Bob Bradley took over and back in 2007, and he had curfews for us at camp. And I just was like, dude, I am a grown-ass man with a wife. I don't need a curfew. Like, you either respect this opportunity with the U.S. men's national team and what this is providing for you and in your future and what you want to do and where you want to go and who you want to play for and represent, or you don't. And if you don't, then get the hell out of here. Like, the curfews, dude, we're not kids, right? And so the fact that you'd have to sit down and tell the guys, you have to have a good attitude, you need to really come in and work hard, would absolutely blow my mind. Very similar to when Jurgen Klinsmann brought in that one guy that could tear a phone book in half to motivate the guys. That's like one of the best U.S. soccer videos of all time. Throwback to anybody that remembers that. But Chuck, let's talk about early expectations then for Pochettino. In this next window, what are your expectations for what you want to see? Is it just a clear identity, both sides of the ball? For me, the work ethic and the effort has to be locked in.
Yeah, I don't even want to touch that goes without saying.
Goes without saying.
I think Pochettino is very, very direct, and he'll have hard lines. If you don't meet his expectations, see you later. He's demanding, which I love. That's what this group needs. Outside of the identity, I want to see who he thinks are the right players to lead this group. Who are the players that he's going to lean on? Who does he think has quality, and who does he think that maybe the American public thinks this player has quality, but he doesn't. He's not playing. So I'm really interested to see who he values, who he thinks is a good player versus who is overhyped.
And also to add to that, and you mentioned it, who's their best leader? You bring up Chris Richards, Tones, and I hadn't really thought about this, but he wore the captain's armband tonight. And I know he might be one of the more decorated players that started this particular game and have right around the most amount of caps, excuse me.
I think Turner has it, doesn't he?
Turner. Yeah, that would have been a good shout. But I would say that when you wear, especially if you're going to be handed the captain's armband, you have to be massive, right? Your presence, your gravitas, you got to be controlling and running everything, especially as a center back, right? You got to be putting people in good spots to make plays, and you got to make sure everything is under control. And I didn't see that from Chris Richards tonight. And maybe, I don't know if that was Mikey Varas who made that decision or if Pochettino had any involvement in how this team was set up at all. I don't know, but I don't think that Chris Richards took that opportunity. You put that captain's armband and you have to be larger than life. Even if you don't have that in you, you have to be. It's like you're wearing a superhero cape or an outfit. Like, you have to be the guy. That just comes with the territory of being the captain. It took Christian Pulisic a while to really understand what that means, and now he does it. You know, he's ready for that responsibility, and it shows. And he wants that.
There had to be guys, and you don't judge it on caps, but there had to be guys with more caps. I would have thought
I just thought it was a surprising choice.
Musa, Aronson,
Musa,
I would have thought Turner.
Yeah, they might have more caps.
Like Musa's a guy who's played in the World Cup. Like, it just goes to show he's not the most vocal guy in the middle of the field. So, and maybe Mikey Vargas just likes center backs as the captain. But you're right. You nailed it with.
I wanted more.
Yeah. No, I understand where you're going with that. We talked about it the other day.
We did. So I guess it's identifying leaders too. And to your point, Tones, bringing more players in to see who has those characteristics that you're looking for. And it doesn't always have to be on the field, right? You can see some of that emerge off of the field.
We've had 3, I think, in this group. Would you agree that
three leaders?
Yeah, I think for me, we've had obviously Tyler in this group.
Tyler's
we've had Weston, who is a guy that will get in your face. And then we've had Tim Ream, and I think he's more of the leader that you're talking about, kind of off the field and in the locker room and that type of thing at the dinner table, like the guy who you're leaning on for advice. But has there been anyone else in this group that you think has kind of taken that role? I can't think of any off the top of my head.
And just to give you caps, Turner has 44, Musa has 40, and Chris Richards has 22. So
okay, yeah. So there were other options there. Yeah, I appreciate that. Yeah. In terms of leadership, that's tough.
I mean, those would be the 3. Those are the 3 guys that come to mind. In some way, I don't call Sergiño Dest a leader, but I think you can recognize his attitude on the field when you watch him play. And I think you can recognize Anthony Robinson's attitude on the field when you watch him play. I don't know that they are captains. We're not around the dressing room. We're not around all of that stuff. Sure. Right. Tyler Adams, Weston, and Christian's had it. He's a different type of leader though, right? He's a little bit different. He's not as vocal. But that's an area that is really important that we're missing a little bit right now.
Yeah. And how do you cultivate that, right? As a national team coach, it's something that you can do, I think, as a club coach to foster that type of mentality and work on it on a day-to-day basis. It's a little bit harder when you're at the national team. I'm getting I don't know. My expectations. I mean, I want us to obviously perform well against the Panama team that beat us in the Copa America. I want a little la revancha, but yeah, ultimately, I think it's an identity thing. To answer my own question, Chuck. So I really want there to be clear ideas and a lot of intention when we play. You can see what we're trying to do tonight. Sometimes you'd see 2 guys trying to do something. The rest of the team wasn't connected. And I know tonight's a bit of a wash, but even against Canada, it just felt like we were devoid of ideas, especially when something was taken away. Like, okay, what do we do next? And so that's what has kept me frustrated for many, many years. Well, under Greg Berhalter in particular. Think
of Pochettino's teams, right? The Spurs team with they made that run without Harry Kane, and Lucas Moura was kind of this hero that kind of was like this unsung hero, right? He came off the bench and scored some big goals, and it was really organized, the team. And then he goes to Chelsea, which was scattered, and he figured out, okay, I know which guys I need to empower and give confidence to. I think when you look at Moises Caicedo with a big price tag, he didn't play like himself. He felt the pressure, and Pochettino took him under his wing and worked with him. And Enzo Fernandez, he was trying to figure out what's his best position, and ultimately he got it right. Cole Palmer excelled. We don't have a Cole Palmer. We don't have, when you look at Mbappe and Messi when he was at PSG, we don't have a Harry Kane or a Sonny at Tottenham. So we have to figure out, or Pochettino has to figure out, what is the best way to go forward and not to overcomplicate it, because this team isn't going to be playing tiki-taka Guardiola Manchester City style in the international level. That's just not realistic. So it's almost like a simple idea, a simple style. Obviously, you're going to mix it up depending on the opponent, depending on the flow of the game and the adjustments that you make. But essentially, get everyone to be on the same page, because right now it feels like everyone's got different ideas on the pitch, and you can see it. It's just really disjointed. And I think just having Pochettino alone, he'll be able to clear a lot of that mess up.
Well, from your lips to the soccer god's ears, Chuck. I hope that happens. All right, we're going to take our last break, at least from the Golasso Network's perspective, for Call It What You Want. When we come back, we'll give you our final thoughts. So don't go anywhere. Oh, baby, it's time for the YouTube comments. One of our favorite parts of the show. We get to answer some questions from you, the best community on the YouTubes. Here it is from Andis Brown. Which player do you think will improve the most under Mauricio Pochettino? Big Tones, take it away. Who's going to improve the most?
That's a good question. Who's going to improve the most? I think this is more of a hope than a knowledge because I don't know how he's going to play. So I'm going with hope right here. I'm hoping that Balogun improves the most under Poch, and we develop a goal scorer out of Balogun for the national team.
All right. That's a good one. Now that you say that, I'm like, I kind of wish I would have said that. Chuck.
Well, if you answered questions, you'd
I do. What are you guys
with that
talking
one?
about? That's a joke. You guys are busting my balls. Chuck, how about you?
Yunus Musa.
That's a good shout too.
Look at where he is right now. He's been it's almost like unrecognizable. He compared to some of the things that we've seen this season just playing at Milan. It's not that he's been playing terribly throughout this whole run of this second season, right? Of this new season. It's not that he's been in bad form. And Balogun, for instance, he hasn't been playing well for a while. But Musa has played well with Milan this year, outside of maybe one game. I mean, the away match at Parma. But ultimately, okay, this is a guy who has a lot of talent. We've seen in large portions of these matches that Yunus Musa can do a lot of good things. And we're still waiting for him to do the excellent things, right? He can do a lot of great things, but excellent. And he's taken some shots from distance. You're like, oh, okay, he's got something to it, but it's not often. Well, maybe Poch can say, hey, this is the player that I think you can be, and this is how you're going to get there. And when we talk about improving players and coaching them and developing them, that's when a coach can do that type of thing for a player.
No, it's a good shout as well. I like that one. I'm going to say because Mauricio Pochettino was a center back, he needs to help us with our center backs. Get a little tougher, get a little edge, get a little gravitas, as I mentioned before. That could be Chris Richards, could be Mark McKenzie, Austin Trusty, Cameron Carter-Vickers, who he talked about twice in his book with Guillaume Balaguer. So that's what I'm saying. I'm saying the center backs. All right, we are stopping down so we can start back up again with the Golasso Network. Don't go anywhere. Okay, welcome back to Call It What You Want. I'm Jimmy alongside Charlie and Tony. And Big Tones, unless you're watching on the YouTubes, we are going to be signing off for the Golasso Network. So I want to get your final thoughts because today was a bit of a mixed bag. Huge news. What a get. Mauricio Pochettino. I can't believe it's real. Even though we've been talking about it forever, it's real now. It's official. That feels nice to say. I feel a sense of relief. But then I watched us play against New Zealand today, and I'm like, oh my God, what is happening? So we got this blend, this mixed bag. Where are you? What's your final thoughts for today?
Final thoughts for the camp. Not a great camp on the field, but a great camp off the field by getting Pochettino. There's no doubt we're not in a good moment. I can in my head write this off a little bit because we had an interim manager, didn't have a direction for this group, didn't have an idea of where we wanted to go in some ways, and we're coming off a bad part of the cycle. So just looking up from here, but again, bad on the field and really good off the field.
Yeah, I kind of feel in the same way. God, it's a big opportunity for some of these players. Chuck, I guess my final thought is that I feel like some players missed a huge opportunity to either cement their status as to why they should be the guys and continue to be part of the core. And then for some of the other maybe fringe players to really kind of take it and make it their own. And that's disappointing. I'm disappointed for some of them. Not all of them. Fossey being a standout and the other side of things. So my final thought is, as someone that used to be a fringe player that tried to make the most of my opportunities, and thankfully did to parlay that into playing in one World Cup. And I didn't do enough to get into my second one. I know both sides of that, making the most of it and then stumbling and not making the most of it. And
smash them together, and that's what you get.
Smash them together, and what you get magic. Okay, a mixed bag though. So I'm all over the place, Chuck, as part of my charm. Your final thoughts?
I absolutely love it. Final thoughts is thank God we got Pochettino. Thank God, because imagine if we were still we were still searching for a coach. Imagine. So it could always be worse. As bad as this window was, my expectations were low anyways to begin with, to be honest. So we got Pochettino. Now let's look forward. And let's not forget some of these performances, though, because in our mind, right, the psyche's off, the form's off with this national team, the identity's off, but you don't forget the character, the willingness to want to be a part of something potentially special. So my final thought is,
cut you off. Talk about something special. Call it what you want. Is done on the Golasso Network. So make sure you follow us, though, wherever you get your podcasts. Make sure you give us a like and a follow and all that good stuff. We appreciate you hanging out with us on the Golasso Network. If you're watching us on YouTube, keep it here. We're going to have some more of the action for you. But Golasso Network, we love you. See you soon.
Peace. Tony, how's the arthritis?
Okay, a little special bonus time, the special block of time here for our YouTube audience. We appreciate you. And the theme here is kind of the pros and cons of having a foreign coach. And we've all had foreign coaches, but Tones, as you mentioned before, you've had a lot of coaches. And so Tim Howard actually said this. Part of your goalkeeper union said this for the Daily Mail. The lesson for Pochettino to learn from Klinsmann is that you have to understand the American player. Don't make it about yourself. Yeah, wow, coming in hot, Tim Howard. Don't make it about yourself. Every culture has different nuances wherever you coach around the world. So yes, players have to be pushed out of their comfort zone, but you have to learn what makes people tick.
Oof.
So there's a lot to unpack with that statement in general, but let's kind of keep it.
Know how to trigger people, Jimmy. That's and you know what? I got to give a shout out to Heaven at Work, who is probably someone related to Mikey Veras or something, because they had to come at me with this. Charlie, if it's not rocket science, why aren't you a successful coach? Well, one, Heaven at Work, I don't know if you noticed because you're watching this. As you know, I'm not a coach. I coach youth, which is great. I'm in the grassroots level. I'm doing my best to give people the knowledge that I've had, pass it on, and grow some players with the right mentality, the right ideas, because players like me don't really exist right now. So maybe I should be a coach and push on. But either way, yeah, I think I would be a very successful coach if I wanted to do that. But that
Jones, he's getting defensive over here. He's not even triggered. He's getting defensive.
I love it, man.
I'm good. I'm good with what I'm doing. I'm happy with what I'm doing. Yeah. He triggered me. Good. I got that out of the way.
Listen, Charlie's making that cheddar.
On Tim's comment, like I don't think Tim said anything like out of line. But look, Pochettino, just think about the different personalities and cultures he just coached at Tottenham, at PSG. Like none of those cultures are the same. And by the way, he's not from England. He's not from France. So he has to learn that culture as well. But he's got a roster of guys that come from cultures all around the world. And that's part of a coach's job. So I don't think what Tim said is out of line in any way, nor do I think it's earth-shattering in any way that you know, his words. I mean, this is what great coaches do. This is what they get people on the same page. They find out what triggers everybody, and they get them to move in one direction.
Tones, while you're saying that, it reminded me, not that I needed a reminder, but it did remind me that you played for Bora in 1994, a World Cup that we hosted, a foreign coach taking us out of the group stage, which was a big achievement, losing to Brazil, but playing very well in that game. Just a little unfortunate to lose that one, a close one, 1-0. What can Pochettino take away from that experience? What kind of advice could you maybe give him based on what you saw with Bora and just that experience overall with the American players in a home World Cup?
It's funny because I'm in the middle of taping a 5-part docuseries on the radio, and I had Marcelo Balboa and Caligiuri on today for 3 hours, and part
Wow.
of this whole thing is Bora and what he meant and how important he was and how he took the time as much of a madman as he was in his thinking. He took the time to understand what American players, what makes them tick, but he also knew that he had John Harkes that had a Scottish culture background, Tab Ramos who had a Uruguayan background. Like this, again, this is why I say what Tim said is not earth shattering to me, because every manager does this. You go coach an MLS team, and I don't know how many nationalities you have in those teams, but they all come from different cultures, right? And you have to understand who they are and get them. I'm not worried about that part with Pochettino. I really am not. So I appreciate Tim's words, but I think what he can take out of it is the same thing that he probably takes out of every coaching school that he goes to. What Pochettino has been involved in is much more important than any of those words. Like, he's got living proof. Like, those are things that you might say to a guy. Say they hired me today. Someone I would tell me that's what you got to do, right? Because I haven't experienced it, but Pochettino has experienced it at the highest level, so he gets it, man.
Yeah, I'm excited. Really smart hire. Chuck, any thought on Tim's words, and do you think Pochettino needs to anything about the American culture that's going to help the transition?
No, I think Pochettino will be fine. He's a world-class coach. I mean,
same.
And not only that, he played for in Argentina, PSG. So this is a player who's turned coach. He's gonna be fine. I think probably, those moments where you feel like this is an opportunity to kind of highlight what Jurgen Klinsmann, how you felt about Jurgen. I think that was more of the message than it was about helping Pochettino. He's good.
Yeah, I agree. And I am thrilled that he's ours, baby. Let's go. And that's it. We're calling it a show here. Call What You Want is over. Congratulations to the U.S. men's national team for locking in a great get as our manager, Mauricio Pochettino. Obviously, we're disappointed with the results in both of these games throughout this camp, but onwards and upwards we go. Make sure to follow Call What You Want wherever you get your podcast. Take a few seconds to leave us a rating. That would be awesome. If you're on Apple Podcasts, a review. Also, drop us a comment on this episode on Spotify. Just look below the play button on your Spotify app in full screen mode and tell us what you think about the show, or leave a question for us. We'd like to answer those as well. And we'll catch you on the CBS Sports Golazo Network very, very soon. And that is it. Thanks for hanging out with us. We'll see you later.